Hello, welcome back to the Mushroom. We're back with another episode. This time, very lighthearted, hopefully. I mean, I don't know how deep we'll get, but the past few episodes have been pretty deep, so let's do something fun. I have Andrea here. You might remember her from previous episodes. If not, take a look back at the archive, take a listen. And so she's back now, and we're kind of on a tight schedule today because I have 90 Day Fiancé to watch in like 51 minutes. So this episode might be in like 2 parts. All in one episode, it's just that we'll record it in 2 parts. And we want to talk this week about like astrology and fun stuff like that. Because me and Andrea are very into personality types, personality descriptions. Kind of, I don't know, we just have like a joint interest in learning about people and stuff. So this is one of our joint interests, and I think it's also like a pretty popular interest. So maybe you will enjoy it too. So Andrea, welcome back.
Hello, thank you for having me back. That was a good intro.
Thank you. Sometimes you just gotta go for it.
Yes.
No planning.
Yeah, basically. I think with us, we just gotta go into it.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
if we
maybe this time limit is good for us too.
Maybe, yeah. Usually when me and Andrea record, it ends up being like a 4-hour episode that I have to cut out.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but
we also don't have a plan going into this.
We don't.
I should make that clear.
We're just going.
We have a rough idea of the topic, but that tends to work out for us.
Yeah, it's also because we also already know about this topic.
Yeah, this is basically like the topic of our conversations, like maybe 50% of the time.
It is. Because, I don't know, it's just fun. I mean, like, in terms of astrology, I mean, there are people who, like, roll their eyes at it. And, I mean, I guess, like, for me, it only becomes, like, eye-roll worthy when you're, like, really basing all of your life decisions on it.
Yeah, when you're like, oh, it's just because I'm a Scorpio, you know.
Yeah, I'm like, no. It's just that you're a horrible person.
Yeah, work on yourself, and then maybe blame it on being a Scorpio.
But I just think it's fun, you know, having like something tell me more about myself, because I like it. We both
like to get roasted.
People tell us about ourselves.
I like to get roasted. Yeah. But also just in general, just anybody like noticing a quirk of mine and mentioning it to me, I'm like, wow, thanks. Thanks for noticing.
Yes. Like if someone can imitate me, they're like, oh yeah, you do this thing. And then I'm like, oh, you're right. I do that thing. Thank you. I feel so honored.
And I think that also speaks to why it's so popular in our generation, because we're all like a bunch of narcissists.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But maybe we should start out, like, for people familiar with astrology, should we like mention what our top 3 like signs are for like a quick rundown?
Oh yeah,
and then we can
like
go
the top
into
3.
It. Or
sure.
I don't know, what do you think we should start off with?
Yeah, I mean, we can do that. I mean, we can rearrange it to whatever, I guess. But maybe we should also talk about like our first like interactions with astrology.
Oh man, I can't even remember my first interaction with astrology. I've been into astrology forever. Like, since I started reading magazines, not even like the tween magazines, not even like J14, like before that, even like
the newspaper,
like Polish magazines that we'd have around the house would have like a horoscope section in the back, and then I'd go through like all the like Polish horoscopes of the day, be like, ooh, I'm gonna like have a fight with my boss, and here I am like an 8-year-old reading this.
Yeah, I still remember like I I don't even know how I got into it. I just know that it's always been there, and then there's always been someone on TV. Like, is there like a Polish version of like a fortune
Yes,
teller?
yes.
Yeah,
And they just sit there, they
I'd
take
watch
calls from
that.
the audience,
Yeah,
and then they call in and they're like, "Oh, I feel like the number 17 is really going to be important to you."
and I'm like, oh my god, you're right. Or I'd like turn to my mom or whatever, be like, "Ooh, you're gonna have a bad day."
Exactly. So yeah, I
That
can't
stuff was
really like
fun.
pick a moment that stands out.
No,
It's just like always been there. I even in grade 8, you know how, I don't know if this happens to
yeah,
everybody, but in school every year we had to pick a random topic to make a speech on. And it was like this big project in the middle of the year. And so in grade 8, my speech topic that I chose was astrology. Or I think it was grade
that
7.
was awesome. Yeah, I think it was grade 7 too. I
Yeah.
remember it was awesome. That's how I remember you being like, that's an astrology girl.
I basically, like, all it was like a 3-minute talk where, kind of like a TED talk, where I just like gave rough descriptions of each of the sun signs, and that's about it. But to me, like, that was like so cool, and I wanted to
I thought
just
it was
like
really
teach
cool
everybody
too.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved it because I always loved. I remember like reading from like this Happy Bunny. Do you remember Happy Bunny
Yeah.
in like the early 2000s? Well, Happy Bunny, my sister like collected like all the books and Happy Bunny everything because Happy Bunny was like so sarcastic and like edgy and stuff. And so I remember there was like a whole book about the astrology signs, but Happy Bunny would like tell
Oh,
you.
cool.
And yeah. And I remember like seeing the color brown and Capricorn and being like,
Oh, I would
this
be
is
so
kind of boring.
disappointed.
I was so I was so disappointed. I was like, ew, I don't like it.
So maybe this is a good transition into, like you just said, you're a Capricorn. That's your sun
I
sign.
am.
And that's normally like the sun sign, for people not familiar with astrology, is like the stereotypical like sign when people ask like what's your sign. Then that's
Yeah.
like the, basically it's like roughly correlates to like the month you were born in. And I'm
Yeah.
an Aquarius. So Andrea was born end of December. I was born middle of February. So she's a Capricorn. I'm an Aquarius. But there's
Yeah.
so much more to
There
astrology than
is.
that.
Because I mean, in like normal astrology, Capricorn and Aquarius aren't supposed to get along.
But somehow,
Because it's.
all of my best friends and my sister are Capricorn women, and I just am drawn to them for some reason. Like, I just get along with Capricorn women so well.
We're just cool.
It's true. I think the stereotype is that Capricorns are like practical, um, good with money, good with numbers, very rational, but to the extent of like being boring a lot of the time.
Yes. And I mean, truth is, like, all of those things that you described, like, describe all of the Capricorns that we both know, including
We
myself.
know a lot of Capricorns.
We do. But we're not boring. At least I
No,
don't like to
exactly.
think
I
that
think
we
you guys
are.
are the opposite. But you are like practical. You're very, I think, rational, and I think that's why I like you guys. You guys help like stabilize me. Like whenever I need some advice, you guys are the best to go to for advice. You really like, you really just know like right and wrong. I feel like you always just have the right answer. Even if I
I
don't
guess. I
agree,
mean,
I'll think about it after a while and I'm like, you know what? They were right. Both, because okay,
that's
so
so
both
funny.
Andrea and Monica are Capricorns, and my sister is a Capricorn. And I will go to my sister for advice, and she's 4 years younger than me, and this girl is so wise.
She is so wise.
And I'll go to Monica for advice. Monica is so wise too, and I'll go to you for advice. Like, granted, there are times I disagree with you guys, but like 90% of the time, you guys give the best advice. That's why I keep y'all around.
Thank you.
And you're also
We're the
funny.
advice people.
I think you guys are underratedly funny, if that's like a good word to describe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like maybe you're not known for being hilarious, but I think you guys have a really good sense of humor.
Yeah, I think it's maybe because we're like realistic and we just see through all the BS.
It's like very dry.
Yeah. And that's what you love. You love dry humor.
So that's like, I think, my rough description of Capricorns. You guys are workaholics.
Oh yeah, I can't take that away.
No, and like I know Capricorns who are like, most Capricorns that we're talking about are like studiers. Like they will sit down and study for hours. You're not like that. But as you got older and you got a full-time job, girl, you cannot be torn away from your work.
No, but to me that's not like, because I'm studying so gross. If it's not going to entertain me, then I don't want to do it.
But you do have like this ambition and this like hunger to be successful, and I think that's what drives you.
Yeah,
at your core.
And I mean, yeah, it's what drives all of us at our core.
And then that also, on like the flip side, you guys are like known to have a fear of failure.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say too. I'm like, while we are very ambitious, we're also like terrified that we will fail.
Yeah. So that's been a theme of like my friendship with Capricorns, is like you guys are always so critical of yourselves.
Yeah, we are. We're just like, nah, we gotta be better. We gotta do
but
better.
you don't see how far you've come already.
No, we don't, because we still see ourselves at like the middle of the mountain, even though we've like already overcome like several little bumps, you know?
Yeah. So your sun sign, as we've been describing, is like your core, right? Like who you are in the center.
Yeah, that's like the biggest, I guess, like indicator of your personality, like the overall kind of like big picture. Yeah. Big influence on who you are as a person. But then like you meet people sometimes and you're like, they're whatever sign, like, you know, they're not like,
and you don't
typical.
see it immediately.
Yeah, and that's because there are like all these other parts. So there's like the big three, as I mentioned earlier, that also help influence who you are as a person.
So the second one is,
it's either the moon or the rising.
Yeah, I don't know which one is most commonly depicted as like bigger influence.
I think it'd be the moon, because it's
your emotions, like,
right? That's how you are typically that's how you typically express your emotions. And I mean, wait, for you it's Gemini, and then for me it's Sagittarius.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, Capricorn's not known for being very emotional, and then Sagittarius just likes to run away from things.
Which you definitely do. 100%. Yeah. See, I feel like you should talk about the moon. Oh, do we want to talk about my sun sign first? Before we get into moon? So I'm an Aquarius.
I mean, you're very Aquarius.
Am I?
Yeah.
I mean, being compared to you, so spoiler alert, but Andrea's rising is Aquarius. So we'll get into what that means, but sometimes I feel like I'm less Aquarius than you are.
Than me?
Yeah.
But I feel like you are very Aquarius. Like, you know, they're like, whenever you look at the typical, what is an Aquarius, they're usually described as like aliens.
That's why I think you're more Aquarius, because if you remember from our previous episode, I said, our previous episode together, not the last episode, but when we were kids, I was convinced that Andrea was an alien.
Yep. But you're also an alien.
That's why we're friends now.
Exactly. You realize that, oh, I'm actually an alien too. But I mean, for me, I also love Aquarius. Like usually, whenever I meet someone, I'm like, "Oh, you're an Aquarius." I'm like, "Yes," because
You know
we have
they'll
such a
get
good
along with you. Yeah.
relationship. Yes, because they're usually just like the most like open people, and I mean, they're they're super friendly, and they're just chilling most of the time. Like at least the ones that I know, they're always like sometimes maybe you'll meet one and you're like, "Oh, you're kind of scary." You give up that.
That's because of my
Oh, you're
Scorpio
kind of
rising.
scary. Yeah.
Also, spoiler alert for the future.
Spoiler. But I find that they're just like the biggest goofs, and they're also just like they're also very caring. Like
Humanitarian. That's
they,
like one big
yes,
point of
they're
Aquarius descriptions all the
huge
time.
humanitarians, and they're always like looking for like they're just looking out for everybody.
I feel like as I've gotten older, I've felt myself turn into more and more of like that humanitarian aspect of Aquarius. Like the
Yeah.
older you get, the more aware you are of the world and the state of the world, and the more you're like, "Oh my god, I need to fix it."
Yeah. I feel like you've also grown more into that because I mean, you always have been like, guys, recycle, guys, we have to save the bees. And you're always like, and I mean, that's also you as a scientist too. You're like, I have to find out how I can help.
True. That's probably why I went into science. Like not to like give astrology too much power.
Yeah.
But like I think a lot of Aquarians probably end up being either creatives or scientists. But
Mm-hmm.
also, I think
That
science has a
too.
lot to do with creativity. I think it's an
That
underrated
too.
aspect of science, and I've said this
I
before.
feel like every single Aquarius person that I've met is creative in some sort of way. Like they're all just unique,
Oh,
and
I
they
told
also
my
love being
therapist
called unique.
actually, my previous session with her, I told her we were talking about like how I process like fights and like my emotions after fights and like apologizing and
Hmm.
stuff, and she's like, "You should like write a letter whenever you're angry." And I'm like, I I used to write a lot of poems, and I have some very like mean poems, like very angry poems. And she's like, "That is so weird. I never would have expected like Miss Scientist to like write poems." And I'm like, "Is that weird? I don't know."
I mean, to me, it's not weird,
Yeah,
but
but like you've known me, so I
exactly.
think yeah. But then to hear from
But
her, I'm like, I guess maybe because I can't imagine anyone else like in my lab writing poems.
yeah, because I'm like maybe yeah that too. Because I'm like in like your science world, I find that you're like the weirdest scientist. Like you're
Yeah.
like the you know like everyone else is very much like stereotypical kind of like scientist, and you're like, hey guys, what's up, did you watch the Grammys? I love Taylor Swift.
I mean, not to say that there aren't scientists who aren't
No.
um like me, or I guess like I feel like even labeling myself as like eccentric is like kind of, I feel weird saying that. It's kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm so weird.
Yeah.
But I think I do feel like I don't necessarily fit in with my coworkers and my lab members and just in general the department. Like I just feel like an outsider a lot of the time. And I think a lot of scientists feel like outsiders even within other scientists. So I'm not saying I'm the only one, but I think science is there are like there's a stereotypical scientist, and then there's like the scientists on the
Yeah.
outside that don't always feel like they fit in. And I feel like I'm one of those.
Yeah. But one way that you know that you are one of the scientists is when you all go to a conference and it ends early and everyone leaves right on time.
Yes, that happened.
I
But
still
there's
love that
also, I
story.
think it also depends on the conference, because there are a lot of conferences where people just get drunk, but I think that's like later on in grad school. I don't think it's like the beginning. Everyone is still feeling like they have to put on a like an appearance, you know? And
Yeah.
then later everyone just like gets drunk and starts like talking about other things. But
Yeah,
that's
but
for
you're
me to
like,
experience later in life.
yes. And that's also just like, um, I feel like that's also you and other Aquarians because they're just like open to expressing themselves how they want to. And you're like very just like open. You're like, yeah, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. That's it.
That's also true. And I find that I also had to grow into being confident enough to do that, you know? But
Mm-hmm.
I've also always been like this at the same time. It's just that but like I've learned to like do it more instead of trying to hide it. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. You're just more comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah. And I care less about other people looking at me and being like, you know? Like if I
Yeah.
say something that's a little bit like weird, I'm just like, yeah, and because I want other people, I want my energy to, and I do this consciously. Like I know that I said something different, like it's not premeditated, but after I say it, I'm like, that was a little bit weird. But
Yep.
I've learned to try to own it so that I can inspire the other person to be more open with themselves with me,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
That does make sense. It's like bait, you know?
Yeah.
You're like, hello, trust me. I know that we're all weird here. You can be yourself with me.
Yeah, like that's something
I
that I
love
really
that.
liked about, this is way off topic, but that's something that I really like about people that I meet. And that's how me and Sarah Quayle became good friends like pretty quickly in the lab, because she just like came in one day in the lab and she was like, "I have a tag on my underwear that's really itchy. Can you cut it out for me?" And I
I
was
love
like,
that.
"Yes, like give me a pair of scissors, I'll cut it." And it was just like this like immediate comfort with this person.
Yep.
And I want to like like consciously radiate that to other people so that other people can feel comfortable around me,
Yeah. I
because I like when other
also
people
feel
do
like,
that to me.
yeah, because for me, that's like the worst. If you have to be in a room with someone and you just feel judged.
Yes, but I feel like that comes from the other person not being comfortable with themselves.
Yes. They're just deflecting all that energy onto you.
Yeah, so then if you're
You're like,
comfortable with
oh,
yourself and you radiate this aura of confidence and comfortability with yourself and with them, it'll catch on.
exactly. Just radiate what you want back.
Yes. But yeah, anyway.
I also realized I'm like another humanitarian thing that you're doing is this podcast.
True. And that's another thing. Is like, again, it's like the same thing of like I want to radiate out this like um vulnerability of myself
Mm-hmm.
so that other people can feel safe in being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's something that like I've also learned is important. And I think as I've gotten older, I've taken a lot more like of that sort of, I don't know, like I've started to view that as almost like my responsibility. Like I'm
Yeah.
born with this character trait and I can use it to make other people feel comfortable with themselves.
Yeah. And you've kind of like, you've, from like being a teen who was like, nah, I don't feel anything. Feelings are too much for
I'm a
me. You've
bad
like
bitch.
really like, yeah. You've really accepted emotions and like being vulnerable and just like, now you're like, nah, it's a strength. It's like, I don't know what teen me was talking about.
Yeah, that was, I guess, yeah, now that I'm looking at it, that was a growth curve.
Yeah, it really was. Look at you, you've come so far.
It all stems back to my sun in Aquarius.
It all oh my god, that's where we went.
Yeah, that's how far we've gone on
we
this
went
tangent.
around we went around the sun, okay?
Yes.
It's a big part.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect. And so it uh we've talked about strengths of Aquarius, so what are weaknesses?
Weaknesses, I mean, you guys are stubborn, which Capricorns also are.
Yeah,
Which is why we can butt heads like no tomorrow.
which we've seen.
Yep. Um I think both of us, because we're both like both Capricorn and Aquarius are like, here's my view. Like you guys are like, I care about you. I'm a humanitarian. I care. Here's my opinion. Take it. And we're like, we're practical. We know this is best for you. And then
That's like such a
we,
theme
we
in
both
our
we both
fights.
like being right. Yeah. We both like being right.
Yeah.
And we're stubborn, so we're not gonna give up. And
You're also an earth sign, so earth
yep,
signs are like extra stubborn.
yep, we got the extra stubbornness. But I also feel like you got the extra stubbornness. Once you've made up your mind, you're like, nah, that's it.
I mean, that I want to make another episode in the future, but I think that stems a lot from the fact that I am an oldest daughter.
Oh yeah, for
So
sure.
that is where a lot of my personality comes from. And that's where I think the stubbornness comes from.
Yep.
But yeah. So stubborn and
Always likes to be right.
yeah.
They also say that you guys are aloof, which I feel like, or I think even like, but also Capricorns are aloof too. And I mean, in terms of Aquarians, I feel like sometimes you guys are like, one day you're like, oh my god, you're my best friend. And then other days you're like, bye, see you later.
Honestly, yeah. I see that. But it's not even
And you're
like
just like, what?
we
What
it's not
happened?
even like
I thought you cared.
we don't care all of a sudden. I think it's just we have a lot a lot of feelings and then they come in waves.
Yeah. Which I mean is what I tend to to feel. I mean, like, also spoiler, we're both Venus and Aquarius.
Ooh, we gonna talk about Venus too?
Maybe that should be for another episode, but
We'll see how far we get.
but I feel like the feelings of coming, like feelings in waves,
Yeah.
are also me. Because one minute I'm like super excited and I'm like, you're the best, and then the next I'm like, see you later.
I think it's kind of like if you imagine you're at a party with a bunch of like your friend groups, but imagine that none of these friend groups are like interacting with each other,
Oh
but you
god.
want to like interact with everyone, so you're floating around And then when you're not with like one friend group, that friend group can be like, oh, like, why is she being so cold? But you're like, I'm busy experiencing, this other friend group. So you're like, I can't do everything at once. That's kind of like I don't know, how I'm imagining Aquarius shows of affection.
Aquarius shows of affection? Or I guess just, yeah, that makes
Because
sense.
that goes into like Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius, because Venus is like
Yeah.
romance and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But then they always say that Aquarius, or like to have Venus in Aquarius, is like basically it's like friend zone or like friendship. Friendship is the love.
It's like a fear of commitment, I think. It's a big
Yeah.
thing. You're afraid to like stick to one person, so you're like not even that doesn't even mean that you're like dating multiple people, but emotionally you don't want to invest too much in one person in
Yeah.
case.
It's just scary.
Yeah. So
And Monica's also that too. And we all agree on how scary it is.
yeah, it's scary to just like date one person and then be like, you are it. And then like,
Yeah,
but
because
what if something happens? What if they leave? What if we break up? What if like I learn something about them that I don't like? Like I need an out.
basically, I mean, you and me go through all the scenarios. We're just like, even though it's been maybe like 5 seconds, we're like, what if?
Yeah. I think that's like a good wrap on Aquarius, and we can move on to our moon signs. So your moon
Yeah.
sign, as we like tease a little bit, is your emotions, and I think like your
Hmm.
inner feelings and stuff. Something that the world doesn't really
Yeah,
see.
it's basically you when you're by yourself
Hmm.
and you're like, yeah, it's just you at the core in your feels alone.
So I think what a question is that I had when I was trying to like understand the difference between like sun and moon and stuff like that. How so the sun is your core, but
Yeah,
then the
that's like
moon
your
is like your
personality.
inside, also sometimes said your core. So like
Yeah. So think of it like the, like the earth.
yeah,
So there's like all like the little like layers and
yeah.
stuff. Think of like the moon sign as like that magma core.
Like the absolute center.
Yeah, like the absolute center.
Okay, that's your moon.
Yeah. And it's just bubbling with emotions.
And then your sun is like which part?
I was gonna say it's it's the outside. Or maybe,
No, because your rising is the outside.
I know it is, but maybe it's just, maybe it's the soil.
Or like in between the inside and the outside.
The in between. I don't know, because I mean, whenever I, it's actually good. I'm like,
Right?
hold
It's
on, wait,
confusing.
what is the moon? Because the sun is like the overview, but then the moon is like, it's not everything, but it is like, I think it's just the more vulnerable part of you.
Yeah. Let me Google it. The sun sign shows what you want, and the moon reveals what you need.
Interesting. Yeah, it's like it says it represents your emotional inner world.
Yeah, so I guess it's like I see the sun as like what drives you, right? So like Capricorn is like very overarching. Like your sun sign is overarching, I think, across your life. Like that's why that's like the most
Yeah.
generic, right? Like what is your sign? Oh, I'm a Capricorn. Cuz
Just
it
like
gives like a big overview, like a
of
summary
what you want
of
in life.
yourself.
Yeah.
But then you dig really deep and you realize like what they are emotionally, then that's the moon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
Because you can see like I'm like humanitarian, you're like hardworking, but is that like when we're like alone in our rooms, are we thinking about like the state of the world and our careers? Like at night?
I mean, sometimes, but
Yeah. But I guess it's more like what like yeah, like what are we underneath it all? That sometimes maybe we don't even know.
so for you, you're Gemini.
Hmm. So what does that mean? What happens if my moon is Gemini? Because I don't even
I
know
don't
what that
know.
means.
Honestly, I don't really know much about Gemini moons. I just know that they're like always like very, I think they're just indecisive.
Am I indecisive?
It says they have a light touch socially and has an instinct for putting others at ease. Dude, that's you.
Whoa, isn't that just what I was talking about?
Yeah, it is.
That's actually wild.
Or Gemini moon's crazy is also what I see in Google. And it says it's difficult for Gemini moons to process feelings. A Gemini will do what they do best. They'll talk about them.
Which is why I have a podcast about my feelings.
Yep.
Yeah, so this article I'm reading says like there's like a heading, a need to communicate.
Yep.
Like a social butterfly, blah 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 blah. Ooh, and gossip. I love good gossip. I'm
You do
sorry,
love good
but I love
gossip.
good
I mean,
gossip.
you have 90 Day Fiance coming up
Yeah,
soon,
that's why we
so
have to hurry up.
yeah, we do.
90 Day Fiance, The Bachelor. I love this like Meghan and Harry stuff going on right now.
Oh yeah, I know. I always look at that. I'm like, ooh, the tea.
Socially engaged. You experience a sense of personal worth by connecting to other people, talking to them about their problems and concerns, and finding out what makes them tick.
Oh my god.
Which is so true. Like, this is why I like
Mhm.
astrology in general. I like figuring out people, and then I like talking to them and figuring them out too.
Oh my god. This paragraph where it's like, once you have ascertained where someone is coming from and why, you're likely to then feel compelled to move on to someone else,
Oh,
having satisfied your need to exchange information. So entering another data file into your catalog of human experiences. Your interest in others is indeed genuine.
so is it genuine?
I'm like, that doesn't sound very genuine. You guys have a thirst for knowledge and also just like a thirst for knowledge about people and how they work.
I agree with that. I mean, a lot of what I talked about in the beginning of this episode
Yeah,
applies to that. I don't have to
that is
reiterate.
you.
So, you are a moon in Sagittarius, or
I
your moon
am.
is in Sagittarius, or however you say it. I don't know what the grammatically correct version
I
is.
think moon in
But you are
Sagittarius.
a moon, or you have moon, or I don't know.
You have a moon.
You have a moon, or your moon is.
Your moon is in
Your moon is in
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius is a fire sign. You have a need to roam. A love of travel, fascination with foreign places. I feel like you will travel in the future. You just need more money.
I need money. It's okay, I got Rona money.
But you can't travel in Rona.
I know, but I'm saving up money from Rona.
And you have a need to be free. Which I think...
That's true.
Oh, combine that with your Venus in Aquarius.
Stop.
Commitment issues like times 10. Your urge for freedom is very strong and can make you restless at times. You dislike the feeling of being stuck in any place for too long and will need variety with your environment. You may decorate your home in an eclectic way or surround yourself with objects that remind you of places you would like to be. I mean, this definitely sounds like you. I feel like a lot of the time you feel restless, and this, I think, also exhibits in your like Capricorn side, where you want to be successful and like move up in life and stuff. And I feel like pair that with your moon in Sagittarius and you're just like restless with where you are.
That's true.
You just like, yeah, you just like want to move up and move on constantly.
Yeah, it says that moon in Sagittarius is an eternal student. You spend much of your time with recreational pursuits that have an educational bent as well.
I mean, how many times do you go down like a Wikipedia rabbit hole?
Oh my god, too many times. That's how it's like almost 8 p.m. I do that all the time.
There's so many times that I talk to you and you're like, oh, I went down a rabbit hole researching like history of Russian monarchy. I'm like, what?
Honestly, my latest...
Oh yeah, what's your latest?
The latest search was Japanese swear words.
Give me one.
I can't say it.
Why?
It'd be offensive.
But you know what they mean. Because you Googled it.
I do.
So give me like a mild one.
Well, I mean, everybody knows this from like anime, but it's just like baka, which is like idiot or stupid. Which also, if you say it with the V, baka, it means cow in Spanish.
Do you think that's related?
What is?
Cow.
Oh, I don't know. But I was watching YouTube videos saying that like there aren't really swear words in Japanese. It's just like because their language is all like they have like one word to describe like a whole like set of things. Mm-hmm. And so really it's kind of like the feeling of you're an idiot.
Or like the context.
Yeah, like it's really interesting. But I watched a few videos and read several articles just to find this, just because I wrote one line.
See? Forever student.
That's all I wanted to know.
On the flip side, you may also tend to become so consumed with what you believe to be true that you end up preaching to others in order to convert them to your point of view. And combine this with your Capricorn stubbornness. I feel like being like the youngest of three kind of curbs this part of your personality because you very easily, when you see there's conflict, you do step back.
Yep, I'm like,
instead of pushing and pushing. Yeah.
I do not want that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just want to eat.
So I feel like if you were like a firstborn and a moon in Sagittarius and a sun in Capricorn, you would be unstoppable. And also probably not invited to many parties.
Yeah, nobody would know.
But yeah, I do think there've been times where we have discussions, even recently, where you're like, I am right, and I will convince you that I am right. And I'm like, well, I'm also right, and I will convince you that I'm right.
We still do that.
Yeah. But we
It's
we
just,
do try to like be as diplomatic as we can. I've noticed
yeah,
that.
we
That's
do.
what's changed since like our bickering in high school.
Our bickering in high school was intense.
Yeah. I've blocked it out actually. I don't remember a lot of it.
It was a lot. I still remember.
But now like whenever we uh have differences in opinion, it'll be very like, well, I understand where you're coming from, but this is what I think.
It's like, if you think about it this way,
Yeah.
do you understand it now?
You're like, I guess I could understand it, but I think if you looked at it this way, maybe you could understand.
I'm like, but hypothetically, if I thought about it in that way, in that context, then I wouldn't be thinking the same thing.
But it does, I think, end up with much less hurt feelings.
Yeah, I think so. I also think it's like I mean, you're Aquarius and Gemini moon, and those are both air signs, and they're
Oh, they
all about
are.
communication. And Aquarius is always buzzing with ideas in their head. Gemini is also the same. And so then you're just like, I need to tell you. I need to tell everyone what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I I do find that a lot. Like sometimes when I have like a new idea, and this is why I'm glad that I have friends who are so receptive to just hearing me rant about something, because when I have like a new idea or even like a new philosophy on something, I'm like, I just need to like say it to somebody. I need someone's like opinion to be like, oh, that's cool, but what if you thought of it this way? Like me and Andrea have this great back and forth where
Yeah.
we'll build on each other's theories. And instead of just like someone listening and nodding their head, like it's actually like an engaging, dynamic conversation. And
Yeah, and then Monica gives us weird looks.
me and Monica have really good conversations too. But I think with Monica, because I don't remember what her moon is, but she's a Taurus rising.
Yeah.
So we go in depth on like emotions and like
Yes.
understanding people and being like, I don't know, like me and her have very, I really love our conversations. They're very like stimulating. But like me and Andrea have conversations that are like creative ideas, like forming on top
Mm-hmm.
of one another and like universal theories and just like so abstract. And I can't, like, it's very hard to find people who will match you, like to be on the same wavelength, you know, where you just kind of understand each
Yeah.
other without words.
Yeah. I agree. But then, see, this is where I'm like, now is astrology like accurate with like their birth charts and stuff and like the compatibility and everything?
Yeah.
But then there's also like other things like numerology and enneagrams and like
Yep.
Myers-Briggs, and there's like all these test things
I think
that can tell you
I
if
think
you
it's
are
all
compatible with
just
someone.
humans trying to figure out a system to categorize people, but there's no right way because humans are so complex.
Yeah.
You can't just come up with like a system where there's like 16 boxes and you can only fit into one of them. Cuz sometimes like
Yeah.
it all depends on the situation you're put in. It all depends on like how much growing you've done, what
Yeah.
stage
Which
of
is why
life
I
you're
feel
in,
like
who you surround yourself
it's
with.
like it's like it's we're more all these like personality things are kind of like, you're when we were talking about in like a universe or an alternate universe, you're more likely to do something or to decide how to do something.
Yes.
Like you're more
Yes.
leaning towards one than the other.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel personality types are like. You're more likely to act this way, but you may not always.
Yeah, and then something can happen in your life where it changes you to then preferably shift in another direction if faced with the same decision.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully in the future, after having dated the guy that I dated previously, if, faced with the opportunity to date him again, I will say no.
I hope you say
I
no.
I definitely will say no.
Thank you. Alternate universe, you also say no.
I won't even say anything. It'll just be ghost.
Good.
But yeah,
Okay.
we'll
Also, it's 8.
yeah, we'll come back to this and we'll talk about risings and
Yeah.
Venus next.
Rising in Venus.
Yes. So thank you for joining me, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
Please welcome our sponsor.
Yep. So we're back after that commercial break. For us, it's been literally a week, and for you, it's been a minute. So hopefully you enjoyed that commercial. And so when we left off, we were talking about sun signs and moon signs.
Yeah, sun signs and moon signs.
And now we want to talk about rising signs. And I think I mentioned Venus, so we'll see how far we get with the rising. But I feel like our rising signs are like scarily accurate.
Yeah. I have to agree. Because I mean, like, Agatha is a Scorpio rising, and Scorpios are like the scariest sign. Or I feel like they're the most intimidating because they're so cool and like, they have that mysterious like energy, but also you don't want to mess with them.
I feel like I wouldn't call myself cool in any
You're
sense.
cool.
Thank you, but I think Scorpio rising has been like my rising sign has been like a big factor in my first impressions that I leave on people, and that's supposed to be like what your rising sign is. It's like
Yeah.
what people see you as right off the bat.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of times, like whatever your like sun sign is, people might say, "Oh, you don't look like a Leo, but you are a Leo," right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you probably have a different rising sign that gives off a first impression that's different from who you are at your core.
Yeah, like my sister is also a Scorpio rising. And I'm
Ah.
like, oh, that's so spot on. Because I mean, like, with people who have met you or people who have met my sister, they're scary. And I'm like, they're not scary, they're little puppies. Even Monica thought you were scary.
Yeah. So if you've listened to my episode with Monica called Finding and Fighting with Friends, we kind of go into like how we met and our origin story, our friendship origin story. And it was also like what I said, and I think sometimes what I say
Yeah,
doesn't come off as how I mean it either.
very true. Oh no,
And
I dropped something.
I mean, a lot of people, like, when they meet me, I do have, like, resting bitch face. Um, and I look scary. And I don't necessarily, like, I think over the years I've been trying to appear more friendly, outwardly. When I meet someone, I'm like, smile inside my head.
It's like you with that kindergarten picture. You're like, smile.
Yeah. So in junior kindergarten, my mom, this is my first picture day at school, so my mom was getting my hair ready in the morning, and she's like, remember to smile with your eyes when you smile, and your teeth, you gotta show your teeth and you gotta smile. So then the picture of me in kindergarten is like me looking really scary and like my teeth bared.
Yeah, you looked rabid.
Yeah,
But it
but
was
that's
really
what my mom
cute.
told me, so
Yeah.
I
Smile.
listen. But yeah, so Scorpio rising, I mean, we could do a quick Google search to get like all the specific
Yeah.
characteristics. You're alluring, seductive, warm, and
Whoa.
generous. You have all knowing eyes, a sexual aura, a sensual walk, and enjoy wearing revealing outfits.
Oh my god.
I mean, low key, that's kind of true. Like, I do like to, a couple years ago, my sister would say that um, my style is like basically hoe in the summer, like when I would wear like really short shorts and crop tops paired together.
Yeah.
But I think it's just like, you know, gotta be confident. If you are proud of yourself, you gotta show it off. You don't have to, but if you want to, go ahead.
You're like, yes, I will.
I like to stand out, and that's probably also goes with like my Aquarius.
Oh yeah.
I like to, wear stuff that looks good, but also, um, if I happen to, make some people go like, then that's a plus.
I agree though. It's like, you dress yourself and you're like, this is for me, but also if other people happen to enjoy it,
Exactly.
then why not? It's a win-win for both of us.
Yep. Like I have this like one piece swimsuit that I'm like, it's a one piece, so like when I'm feeling like kind of like bloated or whatever, I can wear a one piece still, but it has like a little boob cutout. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'll still be hot even
Hmm.
when I'm trying to like cover up a little bit.
You're a sign of great magnetism, strong, churning emotions that are often kept concealed. I don't think you're a concealer though.
It
Although, like, it
depends.
depends on who you're with.
Think of it because
But
this is rising, so think of it as a first impression.
true.
Because you know me, so you know
Yeah.
I don't
I'm like,
conceal my
nah, no, you
emotions.
don't.
But I think another thing that I read before about Scorpio rising is like you you're very and I'm saying you as in like me.
Okay, yes, you.
Not you, because you're not a Scorpio rising. But Scorpio risings are very polar.
Hmm.
So either people love you or they hate you.
Yep. But
And
at
I
first glance,
definitely, yeah, and I definitely feel that because either like I will hit it off with someone, off the
hmm
bat, like um, a coworker or an acquaintance or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I love that person, and I can tell that they like me too. Or there's I feel like I'm not um, comfortable around them immediately, and then I feel like I put off like I'm like I have a wall up, and then
yeah.
they feel like I have a wall up, so they don't like me,
So it's
and
just a
that's yeah, it's like
either
a
you both
circle.
win or you both lose.
Usually, I can tell when someone doesn't like me, and I don't know if it's like that I started by having a wall up, or if I put the wall up because I can tell they don't like me. But it's like it's either like one or the other, or if I
Yeah.
try to be friendly and I can tell that either they don't like me or I don't like them for some reason, and I try to still be friendly, it comes off as very fake.
Yeah, I was about to say, I like just cringed in my head because I know what it looks like.
Because you know me really
I
well, so you're like,
know.
Agatha's being fake. She doesn't like this person.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it starts with. I don't know if it's because I can tell that they don't like me or they have a wall up against me, or if it starts with me that I have some kind of like weird instinct to put a wall up with that person. I don't know.
I don't know.
But that's how it is. Like I've been like this my whole life where I've talked to my therapist about it, and she calls it slow to warm up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a temperament that you're born with. Like some babies are just more cautious around strangers, and then you just grow up still being that type of person. And I've been like that my whole life. Like I quit ballet after 4 years at 8 years old because I couldn't make friends. Like I just there would be times in ballet where the teacher's like, okay, pick a partner and we're gonna do an activity in partners, and that would be like my worst fear. Like every Tuesday my mom had to bribe me with a
Oh.
McChicken to make me go to ballet. And when that time came around, like I was fine. Like all the solo activities, I'm like, yes, I rock. I'm a ballerina. I know all the moves. I'm good. I got put into the older group, and then I think that made it worse, even worse for me to make friends,
Yeah.
because they're all older girls. They know each other for years now. Years. They're like 8 years old.
Yeah, but it's years in kid time.
Yeah, and I'm the new kid, and I'm coming in, and I'm younger, and I'm just like a baby, and then they're like, pick a partner, and all the partners like a partner up already, and I'm just like, oh, and then I have to look around, and I'm like, who's left over? And it was like literally my worst fear as an 8-year-old, and I would be crying every Tuesday, and until my mom finally felt so bad for me that she's
Yeah.
like, okay, fine, you can
No
quit.
more.
And
And
I
no more
still have that.
McChickens.
I'm still like that. Like when it's like some kind of event with a group of people or like a bunch of people that I don't know, even if it's one new person coming in to like my group of friends that's like settled in, I'm already on guard, you know?
Yeah.
And I have to force myself to like put on like a show that I'm comfortable when I'm not.
I don't know, but I mean, like, I was also like a don't touch me kind of baby. Like I was just like, ew, I don't like you. I don't know you. You're not gonna touch me. But I
And then you
wasn't
grew
like
out of it.
that. Yeah, I mean, like I wasn't like that as a kid.
What were you like in like a grocery store? Like if you went with your parents, were you the kid that would run around and like hide and look at toys and stuff by yourself, or were you the kid that would grab onto your mom's hand and be terrified of getting lost? Because that was me.
Oh no, I was the one who was running around wreaking havoc.
Okay, then
Um,
yes. Because that was my sister. Like we oftentimes we couldn't find her. She would be hiding inside the clothes racks.
oh
You know?
yeah, my
Yeah.
sister did that. I just liked playing with the toys and then, you know, trying not to get in trouble with my brother.
I was the kid that clung onto my mom's hand, and my mom never had to be worried about losing me because I was worried about losing me.
You were you're worried for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was not. I just ran around. I'm like, "Can I have this toy? How about this one? This one's not that bad." I'm like, "It's not that. It's pretty cheap. It's on sale." But yeah, that was me. I was an angry baby, and then I was like, "Oh, I guess I like people."
Yeah, because I don't know where that comes from. Because as a kid, I don't know if it's genetic, like if you're just born that way, or if you're somehow socialized to be that way in your early days.
Yeah, because I
Because
mean, you
I
were
was like this, like,
firstborn.
yeah, I was. So I had like unlimited time with my parents, right?
Hmm.
Um, and I was mostly socialized with adults for like my first 4 years. But even in preschool, like my mom would drop me off at preschool, I'd be bawling. I'd be like a 2 year old, like crying. And then my grandma would pick me up from preschool because my mom would be at work. And it was like, oh, thank God, this hell is over. Yeah,
Did
it
you
was bad.
cry like first day of kindergarten, or were you
I think
okay from
so. I was
preschool?
terrified. I was really scared.
I was ready.
No,
I
I
like
was so scared.
I was the only one of my siblings who didn't cry. Like I was just like, all
Oh
right,
my
see you
gosh, of
later,
course.
mom. Bye. See you later. I'm gonna learn how to read, okay?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I never went to preschool or anything. Like I was just like, let me go to school. I want to learn what reading is. I want to write. I want to draw pictures.
I feel like that comes from being like a third born child
I think so.
because you see like your siblings be so like ahead of you and you're like, "Dang, I want to read already. I want to like do
Yeah,
these things already."
'cause they're in on this secret club that you're not a part of.
Yeah. And you're just like the baby left behind and you're like, "Let me just go to school already."
Yeah. And I remember like my mom would watch my brother and me, and my brother would be teaching me how to draw circles. And so he'd be like, because círculo is circle in Spanish, and so he'd be like, but he would like say it like funny. He'd be like chiculo, chiculo. So he'd be like drawing these like circles, and like, see, Andrea, watch how I draw chiculo. And then my mom would laugh so hard because she would see my brother's circles and then my circles, and mine were better.
And your brother's 3 years older?
My brother's 2 years older.
2 years older.
Yeah, but he was teaching me, and
The
student
student
becomes the
became the
master.
master.
But yeah, school was always easy and fun for me.
So now like maybe read out what Aquarius Rising is and then see if that matches up with your story.
Maybe. Let's see. Aquarius Rising. It says, well, I mean, just on like the Google search, it says with Aquarius Rising, a person makes surprise moves and choices, often to the shock of others.
Oh yeah.
The Aquarius Rising friend is easy to be with and yet can quickly transform into the loner.
That's also you.
That's true. You resist conventional small talk and like to shock or stir up controversy in some way.
Bro, okay. Okay. So now you have to explain like what is so me and Andrea have had conversations about this so often where because I don't know if I guess now that I'm going to therapy, I don't know if I would classify myself as like an introvert anymore because I don't know how much of it is introversion and how much of it is anxiety and like
True.
social anxiety and stuff like that. Although at some point like you don't know where the line is anymore. But when I think about, oh, I'm going to a party with a bunch of people I don't know, or like, I don't know, like let's say it's like a wedding, right? Because a wedding is like clearly a bunch of people you don't know and like maybe one person that you know.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you're going to a wedding, um, or like a work event, like networking. I don't know, just some kind of event, bunch of people. You know maybe one person. What is your game plan going in?
I don't know, because I mean, like, see, this is the thing with me. If I know one person, then I'm more likely. Actually, it depends on who that person is. But, like, if it's you, then I'm going to likely stick with you.
Because I think it's because you know that I'm scared.
No, but it's also because I'm like, well, you're the person that I like the most in this room, and
Okay,
that I know we will have
so
a good
let's
time.
so let's just change it to it's an event and you know one person, but this person is like more friends with the other people in this room than with you.
Okay, so then I mean, in that case, then I don't want to feel like I'm just like tagging along to that
Mm-hmm.
person. And so then for me, it's like exciting having or like being in a room full of people who don't know you, you know? Or if like people barely know me, I think that's fun.
Why is that fun? That's terrifying.
It's because nobody knows you. That's exactly it. Like you can do whatever you want because there's no like preconceived notions of you. There's no like expectations of
But
you.
aren't you afraid that now you'll leave them with like a bad impression of you?
No, because we're just at a wedding. And even if I see them again, it's not like I'm going to be making like a crazy impression or like that I like there's no wrong that I can do. I don't think. You know, it's
That's
not like
some big confidence.
I mean, for me it's just like, it's a wedding. Like we're all here to just have fun, you know?
Mhm.
Cuz like I remember when I would get invited to like the class events cuz I used to volunteer there. And there were people that I knew and that I could talk to, but I was just like, nah, I'm just gonna find some random people and see what happens.
That's wild.
Because then, like, I don't know. Because then sometimes, like, also if you stick with like the same people who you kind of know, then you're already kind of like you're like, oh, well, I already know where this is gonna go. But with new people, it's exciting. Like, you can see how you all mesh. You can see like new people that you vibe with,
But what
and
if they're
that's fun.
boring?
If they're boring, then there's more people at the event.
I can't even get into the mindset of what you're describing. Like me for context, like me visualizing this kind of situation, having been in these situations before, even, I either stick to that one person that I know and see who they're talking to, and then I try to like get to know who they're talking with, and then they're trying to get to know me because I'm the new friend, right? And then I kind of like try to like mesh with the conversation. If they're talking about something that I don't know, I'll be like, "Oh, like what happened?" And then if they're willing to like explain the inside joke to me, then cool, and if not, I'll just like move on. But I am not gonna like venture out of the circle. Maybe if I there's like a buffet table or something and I'm going to get a snack and then someone is like, "Oh, like they're out of chocolate cake." And I'm like, "Yeah, dang, I love the chocolate cake. It was good." That's it. Like just some small talk at the table. I'm not going to like go to their table and talk to them, you know?
I
Like
mean,
I'm not going to make friends that are outside of this table.
if the conversation about the chocolate cake was fun enough, then yes.
No, definitely not. Never. That's why I'm like terrified of dating because I've never like gone to a bar and met a man
I
and like
mean,
you know what I
neither have
mean?
I.
But I can't even imagine that happening because I'm so like so used to sticking to my group and I'm not going to like talk to a stranger.
This is why I'm excited for when COVID is over and we get to do this. Like,
And then me and you
okay,
go to a bar and then you leave me to go talk to a hot guy.
no, because I will fetch the hot guy for you.
Oh, you'll bring the hot guy to us.
Yes, I'll bring him
Okay.
over. Be like, come meet my friend.
What if this is a hot guy for you though?
If it's a hot guy for me, I still need you to clear him for me.
Aha.
Because, if he's going to be a potential hot guy for me, then you got to make sure that I don't get killed. That you know what he looks like.
Mhm. I feel like even before we go out, we have to have a game plan. Like,
Yeah.
okay, are we like meeting people? Are we gonna like go home with these people?
Home with these people, as we say, as we have. Actually, they might have apartments. I was like,
Yeah,
we don't have a
exactly.
home.
I mean, we have homes. We
Yeah,
just
we do have,
we're homeless. We just
but
don't
they're
have
not
like our own
our
homes.
homes.
No.
Yeah, we'll come up with a game plan. But
Okay. And then eventually, like, we could be roommates. Me and Andrea have talked about this.
yes,
So I don't know if, and I guess this is like a separate conversation, but what is like a safer in terms of like being a woman in this world? Like, is it safer to bring
right?
a guy home to your home, or is it safer to go to a guy's home?
I don't know.
Because you're bringing a
I feel
stranger
like,
into your house.
yeah, and then he knows where you live.
Yeah. But then if
And if
you're
he
in his
like,
house, who knows what could happen? He could lock the
he could
door and
trap
like
you.
kill you.
Yes.
Yeah. So like, what is safer?
Viewers, please tell us what is safer.
Yeah, we can have this as a separate episode.
Yeah. But I just always like think of if we were to go to like a fancy like gala ball and we just pretend we're like super fancy and we just talk to these potentially rich dudes and we just pretend like, we're just having a grand old time.
We're like in floor length gowns
Yes.
with crystal glasses of champagne.
Yeah.
People walking
So
around
that
with
would
hors
be fun.
d'oeuvres, and we're like, ooh, take one off our
Yes.
plate.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah, too bad we're not rich enough to like be
I
invited to these
know.
types of events.
That's what I want one day. Oh yeah, anyways.
Anyways,
Nothing to
Aquarius
do with it.
Rising.
Yeah, Aquarius Rising. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Aquarius Rising. These individuals are just that, individuals, and they won't let you forget that fact. I'm like, that's me. I remember like even just like in all of elementary school, I was always like, I need to have the most original. I don't care what project it is. I don't care what all of y'all are doing. I don't care if you think I'm like that technique is cute, okay? And all of you guys are like, "Oh, that's cute. I'm going to also follow that same technique or the same model look." I'm like, "I will reinvent whatever this is." I'm like, "It's going to be the standout like thing that looks different."
I have an anecdote about you.
Oh
I think you
no.
know what this is because I've said this before.
I feel like I know what it is.
Junior
I
kindergarten.
knew it.
Junior kindergarten. Um, Father's Day. We are making like cut out tuxedos on a hanger, and we're gonna like color them in and write like Happy Father's Day to your dad. And then this hanger, like these are like paper tuxedos, right, just glued onto like a clothes hanger, and color them, write Happy Father's Day, love you dad, whatever, take it home for Father's Day, show your dad. Andrea decided that she's going to be different. And this is Andrea at like 4 years old, whatever Father's Day, 4.5. She decided to do rainbow stripes on her tuxedo. And it took her forever, where everyone had already taken their tuxedo home and her tuxedo was still like I remember it was still like on the counter. Everyone's tuxedo was like hung up or something, or they had taken them home, but yours was on the counter, still sitting there. Not
Yeah,
done yet.
it was. It was because, well, I mean, I was coloring really hard because one thing that I hated
Oh yeah, I
was,
remember it was like a really, really like bold coloring too. It wasn't like
yes,
light coloring.
no, because I hated light coloring unless it feels intentional for like shading purposes.
Hmm.
Otherwise, I was like seeing people who would just like lightly scribble, and I was like, I'm not judging you, but
Yeah, you were like going
I
hard with
wouldn't
the
do it that
crayon.
way. Yeah, I kept breaking crayons. I still break crayons to this day. I also write really hard, just like in general. Like it's like
The
you will
page is
see,
always indented on the
yeah,
underside.
yeah. But then I like feeling it because I always like I'm like, ooh, it's kind of like braille.
It is. But then did you end up taking the tuxedo home in time for Father's Day?
I don't know. I feel like I probably did, and I probably finished it at home,
Oh,
I think. But I know that I did finish it at some point.
okay, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, that since the beginning, I've always been like I always like gave my all into it's not even like anything important. I was just like, I need to express myself, and it's going to be different, and it's going to be cool, and it's going to be awesome.
You're not gonna follow the beaten path.
No, because like I would see the example and I'm like, okay, cute example, but we can make some improvements. Like, oh, I was so extra. I was an extra child.
And that's your Aquarius rising. How does your Aquarius rising like show up today?
My Aquarius rising today, I don't know. I mean, like, it's. I mean, you guys still think I'm an alien, so even my own family says that I'm an alien. Like, I was talking to my brother about just like I was just talking to him. I'm like, listen, duvets are like clouds, and I was like, if you have the mattress topper and then you get into your duvet, it's like you're inside the cloud. And then he was just like, he stared at me and he was like, "You're really weird. You know that, right?"
Your brother? Like he should know you by now.
I know, but I guess he does.
Maybe he forgot because he's been moved out for a couple years.
I think so. I feel like, yeah. And then, I mean, when it comes to talking to my sister, I feel like I just always like telling her dumb things. Like, I'll just like, because I like to see her laugh, and then she's always like, "You're ridiculous." I'm like, "Thank you."
Do you feel like your sister is like similar to you in that way or no?
My sister, no, I feel like she's more like, what do you mean?
Like I'm trying to think like is that like because of the family you grew up in? Because I know your mom is like kind of like weird like that too.
Oh
Like I feel
yeah,
like you get it from your mom. So did your sister get it too, or is she more like
I
your
feel
dad?
like my sister is. I mean, she's like my mom in terms of she will not like any opinion she has. She will not hold back. And so I feel like she's more like authoritarian in that way. Meanwhile, I'm just doing it just for fun.
hmm
Like I'm just like goofing off, and that's the goofy side of my mom.
Is your mom the older sister or
No,
the
she's
younger
the younger
sister?
sister,
Interesting.
but she seems like an older sister.
hmm
She has that older sister energy. But I think she's also an Aquarius rising, my mom.
Okay, so that's where you get it from because you're also Aquarius rising. You guys are both weird,
Yeah, basically.
striving to be different.
Yeah, yeah. See, even my mom is just like, she's like, nah, I don't care about those things. Like, she has like her own interests and stuff. And, she's always like creating something too.
hmm
She's also very creative. But
But your
yeah,
mom is a Sagittarius, right?
yeah,
And you're a Sagittarius Moon.
yep.
Do you know what her moon is?
I forgot what her moon was, but I think it was like a water sign.
So she's
Pretty sure.
emotional.
Yeah, which makes sense for her. Because then, I mean, my moon is Sagittarius, but they tend to run away from things. Basically, all my signs are like running away. They're like, emotions? No,
Very on brand.
we're here to have fun.
That's why I feel like whoever you end up with, or even whoever you date in the future, not even who you end up with, but whoever you date in the future has to not like, they can't just be like a regular run-of-the-mill dude. They have to recognize your individuality, or else you're not gonna like them. Because you're like, if you don't know that I'm special, then why am I even with you? And either they have to be special themselves, or try to be, because then you're gonna be like, also, why am I with you?
Yeah, because then I'll be bored.
Yeah, because you're like striving to be different, and you need someone who's on par with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like, I think also, like, I mean, we both have Aquarius, like, your Aquarius sun. We both have, like,
Hmm.
that same need.
Yeah. That's why I think Monica is very different from us, because she has no Aquarius in her chart except for her Venus, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's Venus, and yeah, I think it's her Venus. I think there's something else that she has too. I think it's Saturn. I don't know,
Oh, I
but
think we're like Aquarius Jupiter or something like that, but
yeah,
that's like
something like
all of
that.
our generation is,
Yeah,
because Jupiter
and
only
so she
comes
also
around
has
every
that.
7 years or something. Mm, let me look at Monica's chart. Oh, Monica actually has
Okay.
a lot of Aquarius. Just
Oh,
kidding. But
she's like us.
they're not like the moon or the ascendant or the sun. So they're like,
Yeah.
she has Aquarius Mars, Aquarius Venus, Aquarius Uranus, and Aquarius Jupiter.
Ah, I see.
Which still like shows that we're all very compatible, because when you go to our
Yeah.
compatibility we're using the CoStar app, by the way.
Yeah.
When you go to our compatibility, like, we're like super super compatible. The only thing that's not
Yeah.
compatible is um our sun signs, Capricorn and Aquarius, but like, I still
I
find that
know,
I love
but
Capricorns, so I don't know how that works.
same. I still love Aquarius, so because then that means I wouldn't love myself. So
You only have one more Aquarius than Monica, your ascendant. The
yeah,
rest is
but
the
then
same as Monica.
also there's like the different houses and stuff. And
True.
for me, everything is first house, all the Aquarius, because I'm Aquarius ascendant, which means and like first house is like your also like your personality. And so all the other
Isn't
Aquarian
all of this your
signs,
personality?
I know,
I feel like getting into houses is like
I
we're
know they're
we're
so
becoming
weird,
so, yeah, like, it's so confusing as it is, if someone
but
doesn't know astrology,
I think
and
that's
now we're
also
bringing in the
why,
houses.
because
Yeah, first
then
house is let me just quickly. First house, meaning that for them, love is often, this is for Venus. Your Venus in Aquarius is in your first house. Love is often expressed in their self and self image, and because it's in their first house, their Venus in Aquarius is hyper present in their personality.
yep. And so then all of the other things in my chart are also hyper present in my personality.
Mm-hmm. And all of Monica's Aquarius placements are in her 10th house, which means that it shows up in her goals, success, and responsibility.
Interesting. But yeah, houses are confusing sometimes. Should I read more about Aquarius rising?
Is there anything else you find interesting, worth mentioning?
It says, I can come across a little standoffish, but also humanitarian and kind. And
I think that covers all bases.
yeah, I'm adept at getting things to work even when the parts that make up the whole seem like a puzzle with unusual pieces, especially when it comes to groups of people. This sets them apart as managers and team leaders.
And that's kind of what your job is now, huh? You're like wrangling people up.
Yep. I'm like, come, let's laugh off our pain. And it says that I dress weird.
Uh, should I say the anecdote again that I mentioned in a previous episode. I forget what episode, but I forget what episode I mentioned this in.
What
But if
is
you
it?
remember, at the summer after we graduated high school, Monica, Andrea, my sister, and I went to a 5 Seconds of Summer concert. Everyone was wearing, the 5 Seconds of Summer fan outfit. You got to wear your black leggings, your crop top, and your plaid button up shirt over top of it, like open. Looking cute, looking punk rock. Andrea shows up to the concert in polka dot jeans and a cat sweater to a punk rock concert. And that's just, like the epitome of Andrea. So
I don't think it was intentional though. I was just like, you know what? I want to wear these polka dot jeans and cat sweaters. So
and
I will.
yeah, and that's exactly like who you are. Like you don't even try, but that's just who you are. And like you love wearing hats, you love wearing like funky glasses, just like anything that makes a statement, you're like, I love this. You recently got like this jacket that is like furry and has like splotches on it. And you show up to my house this is over quarantine, you show up to my house to like drop off Christmas gifts. And I'm like, this is very you.
There's an aesthetic.
The aesthetic is like, look at me, I am different.
Oh my god. It sounds so cringy though.
But it's not cringy. Like if you see Andrea's outfits, they're really cute. And she's a fashion icon.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
She's not afraid to wear something, And that kind of confidence is what you need to pull off some of these pieces.
Yeah, because I mean, like, even when I found a really cute, like when I go thrift shopping, I look at pieces. Well, first of all, I see how they feel because I like fabric feel. And then I look at them and be like, ooh, this is kind of weird. And I like it. Because I look for like that like piece that's different.
It's like a statement piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Statement pieces that are comfy and have good fabric.
But that's like, if you see something that you're like, oh, I could never pull that off, all you need is confidence. And
That's
confidence
it.
is the best accessory. You just show up, you put it on, you're like, I look good. I don't care what people say. And then you gotta like retrain your mind to be like, oh, when people are staring at me, it's because I look good.
Yes.
Because if you retrain your mind to think that, then you're just feeding your confidence more as people look at you.
Yeah. I
But
feel
a lot
like
of time people will be like, oh, they're staring at me like I look stupid.
yeah, and I feel
You
like
gotta retrain your brain.
growing up, because my mom loved to like dress me up, like
Me
because
too.
my sister didn't like getting dressed up by my mom. Like she's just like, ew, no, I'm not wearing that. But meanwhile, I was like, dress me, buy all the clothes for me, all the accessories. Like when the US went into a recession, Canada was doing really well. And then my mom bought like a bunch of like stuff, like clothes from like the US for
Yeah.
us. And I remember I was a gymboree kid. I had sparkly pink clogs and all these accessories and things. And like I remember I had a cupcake outfit. So it was like a cupcake shirt with like a cute cupcake like looking like shaped skirt and a cupcake watch with little cupcake charms, and that was like one of my favorite outfits. Like I think also my mom dressing me up, and I was like happy with the fact that I was like all dressed up and like I'm like, nobody else has a cupcake outfit like me. Like, that also gave me the confidence. Because I was always like, yes, I'm a fashion model. I felt like a Bratz doll, but as a kid.
I would have been, because my mom liked to dress us up too, but I was like your sister.
Oh,
I
you
would
were
be like,
like,
no, I look so stupid.
no, for me, I loved it. I was like, yes, sparkly pink clogs. I'm like, these are like Sharpay, but like Heidi. Just
Who's
like,
Heidi?
the cartoon Heidi?
No.
In like the Swiss Alps. She's this little girl with her grandpa.
No.
Okay, well, anyways.
If you would like to hear more about astrology from us, we are more than willing to do a part 2 episode. We haven't gotten to like your Venus or houses. I cut that part out because it took forever. So, and it was very confusing, but we can do more research about it and make a part 2 episode if you want. Let me know in like Instagram, or I have like anonymous Google form links, or like a audio message that you can leave. Those links are in the description of the episode. And I also have merch at SQ Stitches, also linked below. Give Sarah a follow. She's awesome. Her crochet shop is great. She has more and more. She's been branching out into like stuffed animals, which have been really adorable. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. And now let's do a tarot card pull, as I have been doing in every episode for the past two or three episodes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
So let's go. I'm
Put in the
shuffling.
good vibes.
Put in the good vibes. And this is the astrology episode, so maybe it'll be like extra.
The stars are on our side.
Yeah, so give us some good tarot cards, please. Stars. Okay. We got the reversed Three of Pentacles.
Is that good?
I don't know. Let me Google
It sounds scary.
I mean, it's reversed, so it's not really good. Upright, it would mean teamwork, collaboration, learning, implementation. But reversed, it means disharmony, misalignment, and working alone.
So, the stars are not on our side.
It may suggest that you are grappling with a lack of harmony with fellow teammates, making it difficult to complete a project. You're not on the same page as one another, or you're not listening or valuing one another's opinions and ideas. If this resonates, you need to realign with the original goals of the project and make new agreements about how you will work together to achieve those goals. So, wherever you are now, if this card resonates with you, I mean, like, it seems pretty, like, relatively negative compared to the other cards that I've pulled so far on the podcast. But it just means that you have to realign yourself so that you can get to a better place and, have a better working team with whoever you're working with. It can also point to working in a relatively mundane job in which your contributions and experience go unappreciated and undervalued. Damn. It can indicate that you prefer to go it alone and get the job done yourself. You may be fed up waiting for others or feel inclined to just do it all on your own. If you find yourself struggling, be open to asking for help. Okay, so there you go. If you're struggling this week or today, reach out to somebody. Try to work on that teamwork aspect. What do you think,
Yeah,
Andrea?
I would say don't lone wolf it. That's like the worst thing you can do when
Yeah.
working anywhere. Because it puts too much pressure on yourself, and then you also, like, your team is a team for a reason. They're there to help you out, and there's no shame in asking for help.
Okay, and finally, a recommendation. I have been doing like songs or artists or albums or whatever. I guess what I've been rediscovering. I don't know if you've heard, Andrea, of this like girl group called Citizen Queen. They had like a viral
No.
video a couple years ago where they did like evolution of girl groups, and it was like a mashup slash like music video of like different girl group songs throughout the ages, and it was really good. They got like 20 million views or something. And recently they've come out with a couple original songs. So they've been pretty good. There's one, I think it's called No Ego, and it's kind of a bop. So, and it's
I'll
also
check him
like
out.
women empowerment. You know, they don't sing about
Yeah,
like boys and stuff. They sing about like I'm hot and I love myself. So that's what I've been relating to recently. How about
that's
you?
awesome. That 2021 energy.
Exactly.
For me, recently, like one of my most listened to songs is it's called Fireworks. It's by
By
like
Katy Perry?
no, not that one. It's by Purple Disco Machine, Moschina, and the Knox. And for me, I just like listening to it because they made it during. I mean, it was released this year, and they like one of like the lyrics that they have is like a bunch of school kids from New York City who are singing like we just want better days and tomorrows. And so I feel like, you know, like in a pandemic time like this, that's all that we can hope for.
Honestly,
And it's just a
yeah.
vibe. And so it's really fun to listen to. It's a fun song. Lots of energy.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So, if you feel like checking any of those recommendations out, go ahead. And, yeah, I don't know if I've said this already, but rate and subscribe to the podcast. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If there's an option to leave a review and rate and subscribe, then please do that. That really helps out with the growth of the podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time in the mushroom.